All right. So we're live on air. Oh, we're live on air starting very soon. Take a couple of seconds to figure itself out.
No problem.
Perfect. So we're live on air. So my name's Megan. I work with OpenMedia, and I want to thank Evan and Michael for joining me today. Evan and Michael are of Auto-Tune the News, Songify the News fame, otherwise known as the Gregory brothers. So today we're going to be chatting about remix and copyright. And OpenMedia, as some of you might know, does a lot of work to protect the internet. We talk about keeping the internet open, affordable, and surveillance-free. And as a part of that, a lot of what we end up talking about is copyright policy and how that impacts artists and creators as well as internet users. So we're really excited that you guys are able to join us today. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So for the people who might be unfamiliar with your work, can you tell us a little bit about what kinds of videos you make?
It's lots of different.
It's a weird variety, but the most known videos on our channel are the ones where we create accidental singers, as we sometimes call them, or we're auto-tuning or songifying using pitch correction to make Katie Couric or the Double Rainbow guy Paul or Antoine Dotson or whoever, and a glorious accidental singer, and we make it a song.
So some of our best known and most popular videos are collages of footage that we've taken from C-SPAN or broadcast or cable news and inserted ourselves into it, and also used audio software to make it sound like the other people in the videos are singing, and then we're doing complex duets with them, so on and so forth.
Awesome. And you guys started as Auto-Tune the News, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of when the series kind of first kind of broke out and became known, which now is maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And then we started calling it Songify the News eventually, because we wanted to make up a word basically that sort of encapsulated what we felt like we were doing, creating a song out of something that was not a song, rather than just applying a plug-in to like a video file or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And what drew you guys into making YouTube parody videos? Is it something you've always been doing kind of behind the scenes, or is it something that, you know, you saw a great video one day and it sparked your interest?
Good question. Why does anybody choose to do anything like that?
Yeah. Why did the egg father that chicken? I don't.
Why did Tila Tequila go on MySpace? We'll never know.
And then the rest was history, really. I'd say we really started working together as a group. I mean, I've known Michael basically since he was 0 years old, but we began collaborating as a very conventional band, just playing original music, but had always been interested in comedy and kind of made our own home movies as child auteurs, so on and so forth. So with the advent of YouTube and like digital filmmaking tools, I'd say that the two things came together. It's like we'd always wanted to make music, and here was a way we could make music and do something funny with it and release it immediately. And so it very quickly became our main thing. And although music is still completely integral to what we do, we're no longer doing it in the like traditional method of like touring with a band.
Yeah. Now, at the time that Auto-Tune the News started and then got big, that was like when 808s and Heartbreak had just come out. That's when T-Pain was just releasing hit after hit. And so that's when like peak, like 100% auto-tune, like when you turn it up to 10, that was just everybody's style. And so, and I knew that pitch correction, like software, could make any non-singer a singer. And so we just wanted to see what it would be like to make, you know, to make Barack Obama a singer, to make Joe Biden a singer. You know, now we're in a different pop landscape where like some people turn auto-tune up to 10, you know, like Future, then some people don't. They try to like be more natural. And so so in our videos, we use more of a range of like some people are kind of auto-tuned and some people are just more like Joe Biden, who is the Beyonce of accidental singers,
for example.
And so you guys now have almost 3 million YouTube subscribers, and your videos get millions of hits every time you put them out. How do you feel like, or do you feel like that's changed the way that you make your art?
Good question. In some ways, it really has not. In that the driving factor is always what we find funny and and what we find catchy. We want things to be like really compelling music, not just some kind of default track to support a comedy parody. We want the music to live on its own and there to be something funny and engaging in it as well. But having a big audience does allow us to like solicit our fans for like, what do you guys want to see? Or give us your tips on what is interesting or viral out there.
Yeah, it does. It helps us get tipped off to things sooner and with more magnitude. You know, we'll get like 100 tweets for like whatever the latest meme is, and that can work for us and against us. Where like sometimes, mostly for us, sometimes we get like so many requests, it's hard to even look at what they all are. Like you know, if you're in like a heavy meme month, what are the heaviest meme months? Like May, like oh, so many memes coming out, I can't even keep up. We can only do one song. You got to choose.
Every month is meme month now, but I'd say one lesson we've learned that if I would just pass on to anyone, which is to like not take comments personally, but still to read them. Don't ignore them, but read them statistically. Say if you have more negative comments in this video than in the last video, then you can extrapolate trends from that, even if you don't take any single insult to heart.
And do you find that YouTube has a good system for empowering creators to reach their audiences and monetize their work? Is that something you've had trouble with, or is this something that you feel like?
Yeah, YouTube by far is the best platform. If you look at what happens on Facebook, it's just like awful for anyone trying to be, unless you're like a huge brand and it's great for you. Or
if
like
you're a huge existing brand or platform, then Facebook is important in like just extending your name recognition and reaching people on a daily basis, but it's not good for monetization, and it's not good for controlling your IP and copyright, which we'll talk about a little bit. But YouTube has the most sophisticated tools out there for both controlling your copyright and intellectual property and making compromises when there are disagreements about what belongs to whom. And it also has social network tools in terms of like commenting and messaging to reach your audience directly and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge platform. And so, of course, when they've rolled out new features, when they've done updates, of course, there have been like, missteps, mistakes. But overall, it's gotten better. And I think I'm hopeful that it'll keep getting better. Just as far as like not throwing creators under the bus. I mean, I know there are exceptions, but it's like when you're governing like a huge country, they're just like, millions, like billions of hours of video, and it's really hard to police. So there have been mistakes and people kind of getting screwed over, but they're way ahead of other platforms as far as making you like not only like a cog in their wheel at all times, you're also, you get a lot out of it,
You've got some control. Yeah. And so talking a little bit more about the actual clips that you make, a lot of the news clips that you remix are from C-SPAN, as you mentioned, but a lot of them are also from major news networks. So I'm thinking of, for example, the interview that you remixed with Megyn Kelly and Donald Trump from Fox News. So have you ever had any run-ins with copyright law before, given that you're using sometimes copyrighted news content?
We have, although I will say, when you consider what our body of work is and how many videos we have out there derived from footage sourced elsewhere, you'd be amazed how few run-ins we have had. But we have had a handful, and the outcomes range, but they're generally positive. I can think of one example where we had made a video around a local news story, not a major network, but it was an affiliate, and so we did hear from their parent company, but we benefited by being sort of like a big fish in the YouTube pond, in the sense that the local network was benefiting so much from having this viral story happen to them that it was important, both like from a business and cultural standpoint, to like have this thing exist out there and to like be sort of unspoken partners with each other.
Yeah. And I mean, the nature of your work is sometimes so political. Do you find that that changes the way that people see your songs, or have you ever had a political figure or a news anchor kind of reach out to you and say, hey, we don't want this stuff on your channel?
Yeah, I guess your point about it being much of our material, not all of it, but much of it is political or current events based, and that does change the character of it. And I really think that's reflected in the law, but it's more often that we have conflicts with those rare cases where we would source footage from like an entertainment program, comedy, late night, fiction, scripted, or whatever, compared to when we source stuff from even major networks, Face the Nation, This Week, or nightly news, certainly not cable news. We almost never have conflicts there, which I think is reflective of the fact that like what's happening is a public discussion about issues. Even if our perspective is comedic, there can be a sincere side to it, bring an issue to the forefront. And so I think we really do have a leg to stand on in terms of like making our commentary about an item that's in the news.
Absolutely.
And I mean, obviously, as you know, making sure the work is transformative, and well, there are different ways to do it, whether it's commentary or transformative work. We just make sure we're not re-uploading whatever Meet the Press did.
What we're not doing is re-showing it. Yeah.
Right. When you watch our video, Chuck Todd from Meet the Press is a pop star, and when you watch the original episode, he wasn't. So
yeah,
a little bit different.
Unfortunate, really.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Did you guys do a bunch of research about copyright law before you kind of got started on this, or is it something you've learned about as you've been working through it?
Oh, definitely the latter. It's as you can tell from like the number of people that are out there remixing this, remixing that, uploading this, uploading that. It's just something you jump into because the tools exist, just like Pablo Picasso became a painter because he was walking down the street one day and just found a brush sitting there next to a can of paint. Similarly, because the software is out there, people will do stuff with videos that are available, whether or not it's legal. But so we kind of jumped into this first because we thought it would be funny and interesting, and then got our footing both creatively and artistically at the same time that we were like coming up on like what's the right way to do this, and what can we learn about this? We're certainly not lawyers. We're kind of winging it.
Absolutely. And I mean. One of the issues we're paying close attention to here is called notice and stay down. So in the US, you guys have notice and take down, which means that if a hosting provider gets a notice from somebody that says, this infringes copyright, they have to take down that content. By comparison, notice and stay down is essentially a requirement for all websites that allow user-generated content to have to put into place an automated system that kind of spies on the content that people are uploading. So that could include anything from, a news comment or a comment on a news website to a meme that you posted to a YouTube video. And what it does is it bases its decisions on whether or not content has been flagged as copyright infringing, and will actually stop people from posting it before they upload something. And so that's a system that's being pushed in the EU, and it's certainly something that we're concerned could come to North America, to Canada, and the US. So while there's legislation on notice and stay down elsewhere, it's not necessarily an imminent threat right now, but it's certainly something that we could see come in. So it's a little bit like Content ID, a little bit like YouTube's Content ID system.
So let's talk about it in terms of Content ID, because I really want to understand the difference between, I think we get notice and take down just in terms of talking specifically about the tools that exist on YouTube. If someone thinks that person B stole their video, you can issue a takedown notice that goes to the other user, and there's kind of a few levels of escalation that you can do using the tools on YouTube, and one of them is take it down. What would be the difference? Because Content ID is an automated process, there's like a magical robot that's out there crawling billions of videos to look for matches like that and notify you like, oh, here's a match. Do you want to take it down or whatever? You got like 2 or 3 options. So what would be the difference, since that automated detection already exists in terms of the tools that YouTube provides? What would be the difference in a stay down versus a take down, which is what we have now?
Yeah, so notice and stay down is basically a lot like YouTube's Content ID system. It's pretty similar. It would be required across website platforms, so not just YouTube, but basically any website that allows for user-generated content to be uploaded. And so those things can be, like I said, anything from like the smallest thing, like a news website. If you uploaded an image potentially to a news website, it would be crawling. So one of the big issues that we see with this is that they're really expensive to make these systems. I think YouTube spent, like over $1 billion making their content ID system. So it costs a lot of money for different companies to have to implement these systems. And also one of the other big issues that we see is that as a robot, that's crawling the web and taking a look and saying, yes, this is all right, and no, this isn't, it isn't able to say, this is fair use, this is transformative, this is parody or commentary. So I think that's where a lot of the concern from digital rights advocates come in. But I'd love to hear your take on, do you find, you operate under the Content ID system. How does it work for you? Or do you like it? Do you not like it?
Yeah, great. The answer is complex, I think. We really see both sides because where we sit in the ecosystem of creating things is like both as a user of other people's stuff and a creator of original work, because we're not just uploading other people's stuff. Say, for example, in an episode of Songify the News, like we put one out on Friday, we have this original bed of music and lots of stuff that we've sung and mixed together, and then a combination of other people's footage and green screen footage and all this stuff to make the whole thing come together. Now then we might have a fan or something like that who just re-uploads a copy of our video, or does a reaction video, which is like our video just playing while they're watching it, or something like that. So there's different levels of who has rights to re-upload. I would say generally speaking, we are a fan of Content ID because it's not a blanket rule that a question of infringement results in a takedown. Okay. We have a lot of complaints with it, so don't take this as a wholehearted endorsement. But because Content ID does provide tools to have a sort of at least blunt conversation between the two parties and provide other options, one of the best possible options for us is this sort of like mixed claim on a particular piece of material, where like two parties can kind of lay claim to it and either share in revenue if there is revenue to be had, but not result in like takedown of the video, or other, say in YouTube, there's this concept of like a strike against your channel where you could be canceled as a user is another possible outcome. So that level of nuance, even though limited, to have a conversation and like a mixed claim option, I think is one of the reasons that we've come to like it. Now contrast that with other platforms like Facebook, where there is no such concept, and your only option is a takedown, and we find that to be very clumsy and awkward, and even I would say a deterrent to like wanting to make stuff or post stuff on the platform. Yeah.
And I mean, I think one of our bigger concerns with the idea of notice and stay out is that it actually doesn't let you upload something if it's been flagged as copyright infringing. Those flags aren't necessarily, something that's been proven in court. It doesn't mean that it actually is infringing copyright. It just means that somebody with a copyright has flagged a particular piece of video and said, hey, you can't upload this. So I think one of the things that we're concerned about is there wouldn't be that nuance there in terms of whether or not you can have that conversation around, whose work it is and what are the steps in order to escalate. It's just that you wouldn't even be able to upload something that had been flagged. So I think that's kind of where our concern comes in terms of stifling free speech and not allowing artists to be able to actually do their thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting hypothetical to like imagine what it would be like to say, oh, I'm going to upload a video. I go to upload it, and there's some error message that says like, sorry, seconds 33 to 37 of your video has been identified as like an existing clip, therefore the upload can't be complete. That's pretty disconcerting.
And the police are on the way.
And the police are on the way.
You're going to be in jail.
And you've already been handcuffed by your computer. I think is what I'm imagining how this is going to play out.
Yeah, and you have gruel for dinner.
Yeah.
This new system sounds like a Minority Report.
I was going to say,
but for YouTube, like precogs, as though like you're trying to upload to YouTube, but they're like precogs that are like, this dude's uploading a reaction video. Except, yeah, but it also just for people who are doing original songs or covers.
Yeah.
Like this, this guy in California is trying to do a cover song of Bruno Mars. Cuff him.
Get him.
Arrest him. No one can do Bruno Mars covers anymore.
So, I mean, as remix artists, what do you have any ideas about what could be done to empower creators to innovate and create new works, and really, you know, have that flexibility? Do you have any suggestions or ideas?
I think we're not hardliners in terms of like, oh, you know, major labels, TV shows, people that invest tons of money in like making important work, they shouldn't have rights in being able to control that, and anyone should be able to take their stuff. You know, we don't believe that, but there are lots and lots of ways that people can like meaningfully affect it or want to like review it or comment on it or whatever that provide value. So I can't say that on the face of it I'm wholly against the notice and takedown concept, but I balk at the requirement that platforms would have to provide that mechanism without providing a reflective mechanism for users to contest a stay down notice on their content, or be able to make a statement about like why they believe they have rights, or make a case for it, or so, you know, so on and so forth. So, and I see the potential for, if there's a regulatory requirement for having that system in place, that then platforms would only abide by the letter of that. They wouldn't put in place the things that we do see with Content ID that help us maintain, you know, healthy relationship across all these different types of videos we have.
Yeah, to me it just sounds too easy to abuse. With Content ID, at least you can contest it. You know, if you just like ripped it and like made a 10-hour version, it's like, it's great that the 10-hour version exists, but maybe, you know, you shouldn't be making a bunch of money on your 10-hour version of New Girl episode 5. But if it's like an awesome original work that you made, just like, you know, based on this property, it's like, you know, in my mind, it's like that's a new work that you made. That's a new thing you made.
Yeah, well, at least there's a case to be made.
Yeah,
right.
There's a case to be made, and you should be able to contest it.
Yeah, we should be able to have that
conversation. Out of there.
Yeah.
By the you got to get saved by Tom Cruise.
Do you guys have any ideas on, you know, like thoughts on why creators and users are so often pitted against each other? I mean, is presented as at odds with each other?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought of it that way. Although
you mean like just the platform and the creators on the platform, or
I think that we see a lot when we talk about copyright, you know, that it's users versus creators, and that everything that users is doing is kind of taking away from creators. We're all just here to steal your stuff. And I think that that's a pretty pernicious frame that comes up again and again when we talk about copyright law.
I'd say, I think that's interesting. The way you phrased it makes it sound like we're still living in the like mid-90s Napster mindset of the industry is pitted against people that just want to share music for free and never pay for anything. And there's something to that, but it's evolved into a new it's evolved into a new era now where like creators and users are the same on every platform. Social media is the prime example, but you know, YouTube and other ways and Facebook and other ways of releasing stuff is a place where people are consuming and creating at the same time. There's different levels of professionalism or proficiency, but like those lines are blurred, and we need to be able to have a conversation between creators and users, and important original works and less important derivative works and less important reaction videos.
Yeah, I love people making more stuff out of our stuff, or just being able to do that in general. I mean, when we did Chicken Attack, that was our like biggest song this year so far. It's so awesome to go on and like look up like whatever, like Nightcore remixes or their covers. Like some of the remixes are just like the videos, but like faster and like more chipmunked. And it's like if those were just getting precogged out and like weren't allowed to upload, we wouldn't enjoy watching those. And it's like maybe they're getting Content ID'd. I don't know. Oh, and that's another great thing about Content ID, that we never have to, like, if someone's just making a re-upload, we don't have to be spending time looking for, we can be writing songs and not worry about if there's a 10-hour version that's getting 2 million views. To me, that's just great. I love 10-hour versions. Like the more the merrier.
Yeah, best thing to sleep to.
You girl.
Yeah, if we had this precog system, would we have been able to enjoy all the B-movie and Smash Mouth memes of last fall? Yeah, maybe there were a few too many of those memes over time, but at the beginning it was like really dope, and like we wouldn't have had that.
Yeah, well, to your taste, there were too many memes, but there's 7-8 billion people on the planet. There's somebody out there that didn't have enough memes.
Someone hasn't experienced them.
Those memes need to make their way through the meme pipeline. Okay, I know I've kept you a little bit longer than I promised I would, so I have one last question, and it's, what are you guys working on right now?
Oh, thanks for asking. Well, we've re-upped our series, Songify the News, just started a new season. We're in a new political season, so musically we want to match that. So Songify the News 12 just came out on Friday, but we're also in the middle of releasing a travel show that we've had in the can for some time that we're really excited about, and that's what this song Chicken Attack came from. So the last episode is set in the Philippines, and it comes out tomorrow. So definitely check that out. The show is called Song Voyage.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely check it out, and thanks so much for chatting with me today. And I look forward to hopefully not living under a precog regime, but we'll keep in touch with you guys, and if you do, we'll find a way to get around it. But thanks a lot.
You'll find us in jail.
Yeah, we'll be in jail. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Okay, bye.